Welcome to Multiplicity-preneurs Moments with AliNICOLE WOW, She Does It All, and the Multiplicity Moundbuilder, Joesph L Jones Jr. This production is a resource of www.multiplicityentrepreneurs.tumblr.com. And we are excited today to have my Chief Multiplicity Officer and cross-brand star celebrity protege at Wow She Does It All Media, Tom Singleton. And we're going to be having a Chief Multiplicity-preneur conversation amongst the three of us, in addition to showcasing actually one of Tom's multi-niche Amazon pages, as he is a multi-niche writer and publisher, and also along with a few of his other platforms that really demonstrate his multiplicity-preneurship. So I am extremely excited about this show today. Tom has been with me since 2012, and I have had the privilege to cross-train him in several areas, such as sports success journalist, as I mentioned, a multi-niche writer and publisher, also an empowerment coach, and he does that on multiple levels for authors. And he also is a very high level in the financial empowerment and education industry, just to name a few. He is my pride and joy of multiplicity demonstration. And I could go on and on about him for sure, but I definitely want us to be able to get into this segment today. So Joesph, before we bring Tom into the conversation, I figured we could have a brief sort of overview of the topics that we've discussed during this series so far, and then we could allow Tom to actually share his thoughts on some of those areas before we actually start to showcase his work. So how does that sound to you?
Sounds like a winner.
Oh, great. All right. Okay. So I will just outline what we've covered, and then also before I welcome Tom into the conversation, Joesph, I will also let you share some of your thoughts about Tom and what you've witnessed over the years with his demonstration of multiplicity. So we talked about in episode 1 how multiplicity-preneurship helps to unleash your untapped potential. And then in episode 2, we talked about establishing a multiplicity-preneur mindset. In episode 3, we talked about multiply, maximize, and monetize with multiplicity. And in episode 4, we talked about the biggest detriment of a one niche focus. And in episode 5, we talked about the time is now to consider multiplicity-preneurship. So excited about this segment. Joesph, if you would like to speak briefly about Tom, that would be great. And then we could welcome him into the conversation.
Well, I've witnessed the works of Tom. He's done a fabulous job in terms of getting his message out from his perspective, as well as putting forth a number of works on Amazon and self-published works. So he's a well-established self-published author, and of course an entrepreneur, and he works in an industry that's very near and dear to my heart, which is the sports industry. So he's doing great things there, making connections and really helping people to be aware of athleticism, and how that can help and impact the lives of many people and get you into many other areas that you wouldn't ordinarily get into. So he's doing yeoman's work with respect to all of those things, and I applaud him.
Oh, great. That was wonderfully said. And of course, I couldn't agree with you more. I may be a little biased here, but but he just is phenomenal. He's so awesome. And I just thought, we would definitely have to have him as part of this series, because he definitely is someone who is demonstrating this multiplicity preneurship at a very high level. And so I'm really excited about that. So without further ado, I want to welcome Tom. Tom, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. Definitely had to have you to be a part of this series. Could not end this series without having you to be, like I said, a part of this. But yeah, I've named some of the topics that we have been discussing. And I know that you definitely can speak your perspective, you know, around this. So we talked about how multiplicitypreneurship helps to unleash your untapped potential. Joesph and I had a really, really good segment around that. And I would just love to hear sort of what your take is on that.
First of all, it's always good to, you know, be able to do a little bit of everything and show some versatility.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it'll serve you well, and you never know what kind of doors that it could open up for you. And, you know, I always wanted to learn a little bit about a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how, you know, I got started with this, you could say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That exploration for sure. And it helps you to really, like you said, unlock different levels of yourself by exploring things. And something that Joesph mentioned as he was sharing his thoughts about you, about the way that you present yourself and the things that you do, definitely, if he was referencing the sports arena, but he also said that how just by witnessing what you do, it helps people to see things in different perspectives. So it kind of levels it across the board, that multiple different aspects of life can be opened up just, you know, by way of focusing actually on the sports. Joesph, did I do you justice with summing that up or what you said?
Absolutely, you did. And I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
add to that and wanted to ask Tom, or actually
Mm-hmm.
make a comment and then pose a question. The traditional business model and market and industry as it exists right now is wound pretty tight. And it's very, very tense as a result of a lot of transitions that's going on. And with your work, I see that you've done quite a bit with comedy and you stress
Mm-hmm.
the importance of laughter. Can you talk a little bit about how important it is to have a sense of humor
Mm.
in business, and more specifically in the time that we're living in right now?
Oh, great question.
Oh, it's real important because, you know, we got so much with all we got going on right now, and all these negative current events, you know, this pandemic, you know, people posting personal drama on social media,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Right.
people stress, you know, job related stress, you know, business related, you know, it's important. That's one of the biggest reasons why I post jokes early, first thing in the morning, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
help people get their start their day off in good spirits. I
Yes.
post the corny jokes, and then I post a different type of joke, whether it's a song remix, you know, clapbacks,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Daily Dozen, which is a Yo Mama joke.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, yeah, all that's that is critical to start your day off on a good note. So, you
Oh,
know,
I agree. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I want to plug something in real quick because TomTom actually has a platform on Blogspot, Blogger, and it's Got Laughs. What is it? Got Laughs, laughing my butt off .blogspot.com, but it's the LMOB, Got Laughs, LMOB.blogspot.com. And there you can see some of his works that he has for the comedy industry. And also, TomTom, tell the audience how they actually can follow you on Facebook. Give them your URL for Facebook that they can follow you and see some of the comedy that you're talking about.
all right, it's facebook.com/TomTom82.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And Joesph, thank you so much for bringing that up. I definitely was going to get into some of the platforms and things that TomTom has. And I thought how you crafted that was perfect to be able to actually lead into that. So thank you so much for doing that. So I want to also talk about establishing a multiplicity mindset, a multiplicity-preneur mindset. So TomTom, talk about that because you do a lot in mindset focus and everything too. And of course, you know, Joesph, you continue to get on in and ask any questions around that as well. But how important do you think it is, Tom, to really establish that multiplicity mindset, considering that you've been doing this for quite some time?
No, it's critical. Like I said, versatility is critical. And, you know, anytime, you know, somebody asks me, you know, what all I do, I just have to tell them, you know, that my brand is all about, you know, expression by demonstration.
That's right. Versus
Not
explanation. That's right. That's our thing, isn't it? That's right. We demonstrate. We don't explain. We express. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, just watch how I show up on social media and all the other platforms, you know, that I have, and all the forums I show up in. You know, so you can be humor. You know, so you can learn more stuff, be empowered and intrigued, and even leveled up.
That's it. That's right. That's right.
That's very important, because right now it's not really about conversation. It's about demonstration and showing an example. And we have a lot of people that's doing a lot of talking, but they're not really illustrating and embodying what they're talking about. So you do a great job of making sure that you express through your work, as opposed to making a lot of explanation and conversation. So that's important.
Yeah, and I got to point out too that whenever I'm posting on social media, you know, I have different target audiences for anything I post.
That's right.
I might post something for my fellow Cowboys and Spurs fans, you know, football teammates, you know, track teammates, old classmates, or I post something for everybody.
Yeah. And that's good. That's the diversity, you know, of your branding and what you do and what you bring to the table. And believe it or not, all that comes under mindset too, because sometimes when people if they don't have the right mindsets and they're seeing certain things that are posted and they don't understand what's going on, you know, it can kind of send them in a spin. But that's why I think it's important that people get to know the branding of people when they follow them. And when you have a unique branding such as TomTom's, and just like all of us here on this platform, we do have unique brandings. And so we do kind of craft the way we show up very differently. And it does actually cause our audience to level up their mindsets and level up who they are to be able to be a part of this experience. Joesph, do you want to get in on that and speak to that really quick?
Well, absolutely. Leveling up is important right now, and having the right mindset is important, because we're dealing with a lot of new era leadership. With new leadership, you have to expand your thinking and widen your scope and cast the bigger net, so to speak.
That's right.
And reach the clientele that's out there for you in multiplicity. And what I like about what Tom was saying, when he talks about the different audiences that he speaks to, that's a great example of multiplicity. He is demonstrating multiplicity by his reach and by the products and the services that he's offering.
Yes.
So that's a great example of that.
And it's another big reason, and it's another reason why I post disclaimers before I make certain posts, so people know off the top, you know, what time it is.
Exactly. That's so great. It's so brilliant when you do that. You've been doing that for years. And that's so great. I appreciate you sharing that as well, because it may also give some others some ideas of how they need to craft not just their multiplicity preneurship as they are emerging in this, but just also how to better leverage social media so that people do know where you're coming from. So that's really, really important. And before we get into really sharing some of your platforms and a few of your different works, because I definitely want to bring that forward, especially one of your Amazon pages. But I also want to ask you about your take on this one niche focus and how it's been sort of the biggest detriment to not just the business world. I think just the concept alone towards anyone who's trying to be successful and express their gifts. Joesph and I had a really in-depth conversation about this, because it was a really passionate subject for me to kind of go in on. But I definitely want to hear, your thoughts around this whole thing about a one niche focus, and how you think that that's more disempowering than it is empowering.
Well, you pigeonholing yourself, and first, number one, and you putting limits on yourself too, putting yourself in the box of just one area, and you, more importantly, you leaving money on the table too.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of money's being left on the table, isn't it?
Yeah, you cutting yourself out of a lot of money.
Yeah, that is the truth. I honestly, I can't even imagine if I had stuck to that traditional paradigm with what all I know and what all I have experienced, and how the benefits of having different products and services and offerings that are unique, to my branding, and just focusing on a variety of different industries that I felt called to serve in. I can't imagine that if I had not gone that route, that would have been a more painful scenario over the years, for sure. Because even if it's an extra $5 from a particular platform or extra something, it all, has helped. But if you didn't have those things in place, then you won't have the opportunity to be able to receive, whether it's $5 or 5,000 or more. You won't be able to receive that if you only have this one niche focus and don't tend to expand yourself beyond just, using this traditional focus. I think what you said, you hit the hammer on the nail for sure. Joesph, you want to get in on that? Because, you and I, we talked about that, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And it's important that you emphasize the point of things that you are called to. Not necessarily every endeavor is a good endeavor for you to participate in. It has to be something that you have a calling to. And the other thing that's important is you want full expression. You don't want to just have partial expression of some of your gifts. You want to fully express every gift that you have, so that you can maximize not only your money, but maximize the impact in the lives of those who are listening and receiving those products.
Yes, well stated.
And it's all about time compounding.
And right.
And then we got people that live in this instant gratification, society, want everything right away. And I've asked in the past, I've asked people, on occasion, just to see where their head is at. I'll ask them, the question of, would they rather have, $500,000 up front, or a penny a day doubled for 31 days? You can guess which answer that most people give.
Well, state the obvious for the audience, so in case some don't.
Yeah, most people pick the $500,000 up front. And then when they tell me that, I just tell them to go back and do the exercise, with a penny a day double, for 31 days, just so they can see how much money you just cut yourself out of.
Wow.
Because, a penny a day, like, for example, a penny a day doubled for 7 days is 64 cents. You won't see a return right away. But by the time you get to day 31, that's $10.7 million.
Wow. And
if you add up every single number from day 1 to day 31 to that 10.7, it's 21.4 million.
Wow. Now that's how you multiply, maximize, and monetize. Can I get an amen, Joesph?
Amen. That's multiplicity right there.
That's multiplicity there. Woo, that Tom is something else, isn't he? Wow,
he's on it.
That's deep. Yes, that's deep. Well, I guess we don't even have to really ask the question in terms of the time is now to consider multiplicity-preneurship. I believe just in that last statement that he made alone kind of like says that anyway, right? He gave us some numerics to break down. Things I never thought about that way. Tom, thank you.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Yes, exactly. We appreciate that. Well, what I want to do now, Joesph, before I bring up Tom's Amazon page, did you want to say anything else before we get into that part?
No, other than I didn't realize the power of 2 pennies.
Exactly. I know. I'm sitting here still mind blown by that myself, trying to move forward
I
in
knew
the
it was a
segment, but
large.
thinking here, like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I knew it was a large number, but I didn't think it would grow that large. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's extremely impressive. That is, again, multiply and maximize and monetize, for sure. I love that analogy that he shared. So I want to direct our listeners right now to visit www.amazon.com/Arthur/Tom, and that Tom is Tom-Tom. And there you're going to see a plethora of Tom's works. Now, Tom is on what, book 28? Is that correct? Book 28 is coming out soon?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so we're showcasing one of your pages here during the show. You do have 2, and that will be in the show description, that people will be able to see that. But on his Amazon page, you see there are a variety of niche focuses, from sports to finances to empowering authors to the comedy. There's just a variety of topics that he covers, and to be able to write in this nature really, takes on a whole nother scope and a whole nother set of giftings. And I can attest to this as someone who has massively published as well. But I just really wanted to be able to highlight this so that individuals can see how one person is writing for these different industries, and he has different platforms that these publications lead into for next steps. And so that's a high level demonstration for sure of how you can start with writing and then express yourself in that way, and then lead it into another platform that will help people to continue. So, Joesph, did you want to say anything, around that?
Well, I just wanted to say that 28 books, that's a lot of books to publish in. And I just wanted to raise the question, how do you find the time to create 28 works?
Well, I've been doing this since 2013. Starting with my very first book, Diary of a Mad Pizza Man. I mean, I had to juggle, working 2 jobs, playing semi-pro football, trying to squeeze works in, trying to squeeze in time to write, between football practices and games and working. And I started out with blogging, of course, but then it progressed into writing books, and then I have a pretty good amount to say about a lot of things. So that's how it progressed to 28 books. And the fact that I don't like to debate, because people don't know how to disagree without being disrespectful.
Right.
And people like to be contrary, especially with sports debates. So this is another good reason to have so many books, because if people want to know your thoughts or opinions on something,
make them pay for it, right?
You can just direct them to your works. Like for instance, most people, with sports, especially ones that follow basketball, they don't believe Tim Duncan is one of the 5 greatest players ever, which I absolutely do believe. And
they need a lobotomy.
Right. And 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 if people want to know my thoughts on that, I just tell them I got a 639-page argument for why I believe he is. So there you go. If you want to know what I think, go read my book.
That's right. That'll
hold him.
That'll hold him.
Oh, and one other thing I can promise you is that, I don't hide the fact that I'm a fan, and some people might misunderstand, of course, on purpose, or they might misunderstand, or they might not, like the way I present my narratives. But the one thing I can promise you is that you won't find a lie in anything I write. My opinion is based on facts, and I point you in the direction of where you can fact check me, and where you can do your own research for yourself.
Wow. Yes, that Tom Tom is a star, isn't that awesome? Yes, he is. He is just awesome. Tom Tom, I have several platforms of yours that I definitely want to feature, but I definitely want to take the time to maximize this show with having the listeners really hear more from you. And so I am going to have a variety of your platforms. They'll be in the show description, but I definitely wanted to be able to highlight your author's page. And then of course we got in the Got Laughs page as well, and people can be directed to that. But you have so many. I will throw this out there on since we're on air, is talkinspurs.blogspot.com, and that is talkinspurs.blogspot.com. And he has another one. It's profitsempowerment.blogspot.com. Excuse me, that's profitsempowerment.blogspot.com. Of course, the www dot for those who are out of the U.S. Sometimes I have to say that just globally, but yeah. So he has a lot of different platforms, and it's magnificent to have watched him over the years to grow and evolve. And hearing him just even speak today, I'm sure the audience can definitely understand why he is just my star for sure. So, Joesph, did you want to add anything else before we get ready to wrap up here?
Well, I'm just thankful that Tom took the time to put together those 28 works and took the initiative to explore his gift and maximize his gift and get his information out there, as well as continuing to do the work that he's doing and lifting our spirits every day with the comedy and the jokes of the day, because that's very, very important, especially right now. So you're covering all the bases and you're hitting all the buttons, doing all the things that are required of a leadership person in this new era. And I applaud you for that.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Well stated. Yeah, of course, I co-sign, for sure. Tom, I really just can't say enough about you. And as Joesph said, very thankful that you spent your time with us today, because it's very important for others to be able to hear a voice like yours and someone who is really demonstrating this and showing up consistently in your uniqueness and in your greatness. So you definitely are bringing forth the epitome of that multiplicity-preneur expression, and we can't thank you enough for joining us in this segment today.
Well, like I said, thanks for having me.
You're most welcome, and we send you away with much love and many blessings. And of course, we're looking forward to being able to do more with you in the near future around this topic for sure. So take care.
I'm always ready, and you do the same.
Oh, thank you. And I just want to say to our listeners that they can follow or connect with all three of us on LinkedIn, and that information will be in the show description. So this has been Multiplicity-preneurs Moments featuring Tom Singleton, my star. Yes. He's just a great demonstration of multiplicity-preneurship, as you can see. And so we're so grateful to have him join us in this segment today. So thanks for joining us. And until our next moments together, we wish you well.